you, Madam Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters, and honored guest. How many of you have heard the phrase, stand in your full power? And how many of you have never heard that phrase? Okay. How many of you wonder what it really means? Okay. And how many of you really don't care? Okay. Well, today I want to share with you how I've been giving up my power through attachments. And I have 3 main points. The first is I'm going to tell you what is an attachment. And you've been wondering about that, right? What the heck is an attachment? Yes, you will find out tonight. 2, you will find out how those attachments have been showing up in my life. And 3, you will have some idea of a next step if any of this resonates with you and you want to address it in your own life if it looks like something that might be something you want to address. So with that, what is an attachment? An attachment can be any person, place, thing, or an idea that takes us out of our power. Now, what does that actually mean? It actually means something that keeps us from being our authentic self. And we're all actually here for a reason. How many of you believe that you're here for a reason? Yep, everybody does. How many believes? How many of you don't know what you're here for yet? Okay, that's good. Some honesty. I mean, some of us don't know what we're here for, and that's okay. I mean, we're here to figure it out in some cases. But an attachment keeps us from standing in our full power and from fully expressing ourselves the way we're meant to, from being who we're here to be. Now, how does that actually happen? Well, one of the examples that we like to use is a cell phone. And is there anybody here that doesn't have a cell phone? Smartphone? Okay, everybody does. So when you have your smartphone and you got a bunch of apps going, what does that usually do to the battery? Drains it, right? So when you have attachments, that's kind of what's happening. You're draining your battery. Sort of like an energetic cord that's going from here to here or here to here, or wherever it's going. And you're probably not conscious of it. I know I wasn't conscious of it until recently. And so this cord goes out to someone else, and it means that they can now, like, imagine, you've seen that movie, The Tail That Wags the Dog, you know, like, just imagine, like a rope, you know, you like, flick a rope, and then on the other side it's like, woo, you know, like that. You're giving up your power. It's like you're on the other end of that rope. And so you don't have power anymore because the person who has the other end of the rope is actually throwing you off balance, potentially. Or, I mean, you could be allowing it, you could be asking for it. What I found out this last weekend from my sister was that apparently I suck people's energy. You know, we learn some interesting things from our families, don't we? Yes. Never knew that about myself, but now I do. So it can be distorting for both me and for the other. So that is an attachment, gives you some idea. It's something that takes you out of your power. That's the first point. Second point is, what does that actually look like? Well, what I've noticed in my life is it looks like 3 things. And it can look like all kinds of things, and it might look different in your life. But what I've noticed in my life is it affects the words that I say. It affects the food. It can affect the words that I say. It can affect the food that I eat. And it can affect the way I spend my time. How many of you have ever wondered why you have certain goals, but you just for some reason can't get there? Like, yes, now there's lots of reasons for that. There could be lots of reasons, and this might not be it. But what I want you to think about today is, what if it was an attachment to a person, place, or an idea that keeps you from being authentically you? So for example, what I started noticing is, and my sister kindly pointed it out. You know how family is great for that. They'll just point stuff out that you never saw before. So there she was pointing out phrases that I was using, and she's like, where is that coming from? That doesn't sound like you. And I'm thinking, what do you mean? And then as she pointed it out, of course I started noticing the phrases that she was using that didn't sound like her. So, you know, like that was something that we do with siblings sometimes, right? But I noticed that the words that I was saying were not, they were related to the people that I spend time with. And that was a little bit surprising. And then I started noticing the foods that I was eating over a period of time. And I started, you know, health is really important to me. Diet is important to me because, why? Only because I had to make it important, because I had to heal myself of cancer, had to rebuild my digestive system, like serious stuff. And so because of that, I learned how important high vibe stuff is to put in your body so that you can get high vibe stuff out. So then I started noticing that sometimes when I make choices about food, it's not the choices that match the values that I say I hold. Why is that? And then I started noticing, like, it's sort of similar to some of the people that I hang out with or my family members that I'm close to, that maybe I have attachments to, and I notice I'm eating like them. Wait a second, that doesn't match who I am. So that's food. And the third thing is action. So I say that it's important for me to take care of myself. I actually teach it. I'm a coach and a speaker and a motivational speaker at that. And I say, self-care, human design, what is it about? Know yourself, love yourself, self-care. So what does that mean? You gotta be conscious of what you're doing with your time, and it needs to match up with who you say you are and what you say you value. So what I noticed about my time is I started to track it, and I started thinking, you know what, I say it's really important that I have self-care time, but I don't actually do that. And then I started noticing, like, why am I doing that? I'm putting other people in front of myself. And I noticed that, oh my gosh, I've been doing this my entire life. So this is a pattern that goes way back to birth. And what I noticed is I have an open solar plexus, so if you're into human design, we're people pleasers. So we always know how to please the other person, so we put their needs typically before our own, and unless we're conscious and aware, guess what? We get burned out. So that's how it works. So food, words, and actions. That's how it shows up in my life. And so the last thing is what is the solution? There's a lot of solutions, a lot of things you can do. Of course, there's classes you can take. We have a series going on, 2020 Navigating the New Paradigm. You can come to one of the series, learn about your own human design, learn about some new paradigm principles. But the really simple thing is conscious awareness. Now, I have to say, you've probably heard a speech about this from someone in this club, but conscious awareness, it's being consciously aware of your thoughts, words, and actions. And that is really the number one thing that you can do, because once you start becoming aware of it, then you can decide consciously if you want to keep this attachment or not. So there it is, the 3 main points. We've talked about what is an attachment. We've talked about how I've been giving up my power through attachments. And we talked about what simple thing you can start to do today to address your attachments, being conscious and aware. And that leads me to my final thought, which is this. The journey of 1,000 steps begins, journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step. So one step at a time, conscious awareness. That is my challenge and the opportunity for each of you.